There we go. Ready to go. So welcome. Here we are. We're meeting with Deborah LeBlanc of Mind Path Therapies today, and we're going to explore life in Deborah's shoes. Like that's what we're going to do. So Deborah, I guess introduce you and what you do and why you do it.
That's a big quest. That's a big opening. That's huge. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and why I do it is a story in and of itself. I was in corporate America for a long time. I owned my own company for about 26 years. And about 6 years ago, I lost a 3-year-old grandbaby. 4 months later, I lost her mother, which was my youngest daughter. And then a year later, I lost my middle daughter. So that was all in a very short period of time.
That's terrible. That is really terrible.
Yeah, it was. I sort of went around in a daze for quite some time thinking, what are you, why are you doing what you're doing? What is your purpose in life? I mean, beforehand, when my children were growing up, of course, my purpose was to provide for them.
Right.
I always wanted to make things better for them than I had for myself. And that stayed on even after they grew up and grew out of the house. But once those 3 treasures died, corporate America just felt so empty. It's like, why are you doing this to make $1? Well, I could be honest with you, I'm still strong enough to dig a ditch if I have to eat. It doesn't take a lot to, not into things so much. So it was, why are you doing this? And I kind of fell back to where I was when I was a very young girl. I either wanted to be Superman, a nun, or a psychiatrist. Well, the nun was out of the picture. Superman, I figured out through a horrific tear in my arm that it does not work. There are some special powers you are missing here. And a psychiatrist I looked at pretty seriously, but I had a degree in marketing and I knew to go back to school for psychiatry. Oh my gosh, I would have passed away and they would have put my doctorate on my tombstone. I would have, you don't have time for this, girl. So I kind of stayed in that state of befuddlement for a while. And one day I was at my computer and I Googled how much gravel it would take to cover a driveway that was X number of feet wide and a mile long. We were looking at doing a project on some property that I own. And one of the things that popped up, like the first thing that popped up was this institution, this college of hypnotherapy. And I went, what the heck? They're selling gravel? And I clicked on it and started roaming around looking through it, and I felt my heart start beating faster. And this little flag kind of popped up in my head. And whenever that happens, I know I've got to pay very close attention.
Yep.
So I jumped into hypnotherapy. I spent 2 years, went back to school for 2 years. So I would become a clinical hypnotherapist, a degree in mind-body psychology. So it was in a time frame that worked for me. And best part about it was, I made the director's list and, graduated with honors and yada, yada, yada. But it was like I'd done it before. It was so familiar to me. It was like I'd done it before. And it
You may have in a previous life.
I may have.
You may have.
So that's how I got started. And that's the why I got started was, my dedication to my children was not over. I still have one daughter, but she's married and on her own. And now it was time to do something different. Right. And that's what it was.
That's something I find, I mean, even for myself, you have this moment that just, it becomes the linchpin moment. It's the moment where I can't go forward and be the person I was, and I can't go back, right? I can't go forward and be the person I was. I can't go back and pretend that nothing has changed. The
Right.
road that I'm on is no longer a road I can travel, and I have to do something differently.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's why I left teaching to become a social worker, right? Because I could no longer walk the road I was on. It was no longer a road that was my road. It was somebody else's road. And I needed to go find my road. I'm still finding my road.
Well, I think social worker is, oh my gosh, that is such an important role in this life, for a lot of people.
Right. I'm sort of stepping out of the social work a little bit to do intuitive work. So I'm stepping out of, although there are plenty of studies that show intuition is like important, in the Department of Defense is starting to use intuitives to figure out their stuff. So it's becoming more open and accepted. But it's
As it
definitely,
should.
yes, but it's definitely, I mean, it's intuition that led you down the hypnotherapy road, right? If you hadn't gotten that heart pumping, I'm so interested in this and I can't tell you why I'm so excited, right? If you hadn't gotten that, you wouldn't have even noticed that you got an ad for hypnotherapy,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
It was your body's somatic response to the event that made you realize you needed to explore it,
Right.
right?
That's absolutely right. And it wasn't even an ad. It was their website link. And so it wasn't an advertisement, because I get turned off on that,
Right, exactly.
pretty quick. So it's like
Somehow
the universe
your
knew.
how much gravel does it take to fill a 1 mile driveway triggered their, I don't know what you
Why? I
call
don't
that.
know.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's, I mean, I don't think gravel is in their SEO, you know?
Well, the
I
truth
don't
is
know.
hypnotherapy. Okay, I have been to a hypnotherapist. I will openly open that, right? Like up, and I will tell you that I'll tell you my hypnotherapy story if you're
Please.
open to hearing it. So I have a
Absolutely.
friend who I was hanging out with, like a group of like people who were intuitive and learning to be intuitive, headed up by a specific intuitive person in the area. And I was hanging out with this group and I was becoming more friendly with them. And one of the women walked up to me and she kind of grabbed my face because, she's like, we're going to work together one day. And I was like, okay. She's like, I can just tell. And I was like, okay. So I asked her, like, what do you do? And she said, I do hypnotherapy. And I was like, well, I'll keep that in mind. So I had been spending about $85 every other week to get my nails done because for as long as I could remember, I was biting my nails. And I knew somehow the nail biting glided in with my dad's divorce, my mom and dad's divorce. I just didn't know exactly where those two things came together. And I had tried to stop biting them my entire life. But once I went into the hospital, I was like, I can't be biting my nails. It's disgusting. Like it's disgusting to be biting your nails when you work in a hospital. Like you really can't be doing that. So I was going and spending $85 every other week to get my nails done so that I wouldn't bite them. That was the only thing that would stop it. So I went to go see Julie, right? And she sat down, we sat down together, and she did her thing, like with the whole relaxation and going back and like finding a bench and going over the bridge and or the gate, opening the gate and going back. And I discovered that in this particular lifetime, right? There were other lifetimes that she helped me see, but that in this particular lifetime, my dad not coming home was a really big deal to me, and I felt completely out of control. And I started biting my nails in my playpen as a like result of my dad not coming home. And it was like a power control thing. And once I saw that, because that's what happens once you see it, right? Once I saw what it was and the origin and the power left. And I went on a Saturday. On a Sunday, I went home and I was like looking at the nail polish and I took it off. I was like, we're gonna see what happens. So I just took off the nail polish. Monday, the woman formerly known as my stepmother called me and said, your dad's not really doing very well. He sort of has had these like issues, and she explained them. She's like, he won't let me take him to the hospital, but now he finally is, and we're now here at the hospital. I said, okay, I will be right there. through a series of events that I put together, like she should have left for the hospital probably a half an hour before she did, like a whole bunch of other things, right? Like, long story short, dad passed away on Wednesday. So I went to the hypnotherapist on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I get the call. Monday morning, I was even on the phone with his pulmonologist asking for a sleep study, right? Like I was actively swimming in his medical stuff at that point, like really sunk deep in his medical stuff. Monday night, she calls me. Tuesday, he's completely stroked out in the bed. We had like conversations. I had conversations with the neurologist. I had conversations with the palliative. I turned him into a do not resuscitate. Wednesday, I said on Tuesday, I was ready to pull everything and let him go. Family wasn't quite ready yet. So, one woman formerly known as my stepmother and my sister were both not ready to say goodbye yet. So Wednesday morning, he made the big leave. I have not bitten my nails since that Saturday. And one of the most traumatic things in my life is my dad died, right? Like it's one of the biggest. I mean, I'm a cancer survivor. So like, the big things, my parents got divorced when I was 2. I am a cancer survivor and, my dad died, right? These are the big things that have happened in my life and I haven't bit my nails. So I have a huge amount of respect for the work that happens inside of hypnotherapy.
Mm.
It's a little shy of miraculous.
Well, your story is wonderful. Your story is wonderful.
Yeah.
There are a lot of, the power of our mind is, we just don't give it enough credit. We really don't.
No, we really don't.
The hypnotist is only trained to help you get to that portion of your mind. They have no special powers. School does not teach you any special powers. It just teaches you how to help them relax and be able to find the answers that already exist in their subconscious mind. They already exist. We just help you find them.
Right.
So there is no magic.
I disagree. Because, okay, it takes a special person to be able to sit with somebody and hold their story. Because what inevitably comes up in a hypnotherapy session is the bottom of the lake muck that they would rather leave at the bottom of the lake.
Sure.
And it takes a special person to be able to hold somebody as they excavate the mud at the bottom of the lake. I mean, for me, I think bottom of the lake mud is the most disgusting thing. It gets between your toes and it's slimy and I can't handle it. And I have to be in shoes if I'm in a lake, but then I hate swimming in shoes because they pull you down. Like, I can't do it. I need a dock. I need to go down. I need to go down up here off a dock if I'm going to swim in a lake, right? Like I want nothing to do with the bottom of a lake. But I will tell you, I want everything to do with hypnotherapy. I want everything to do with it. So for you, go ahead.
It does have special qualities to it. It does. I will go for that. It really does. To the person that does not like the bottom of the lake, that doesn't want to look at the bottom of the lake, doesn't want to even acknowledge it exists. The water's blue at the surface, and that's where I'm staying. I'm not looking beyond that. You go 10 feet down and there's a black muck down there. But it's just a matter of holding space for somebody.
Yep. And letting them know it might be a little stinky right now, but we're going to wash that right off in the next 10 minutes. And this little bit of pain for the maximum gain, right?
Absolutely.
The amount of little bit of work, like, was it a little painful for me to realize how hurt I was when dad didn't come home? Yeah, that was a little painful. And whenever I think about it now, I get a little teary, right? Like little 1.5-year-old Kim is really struggling with that. That's no big deal because it no longer has power over me, right? It no longer holds, like you can even see I have fingernails, right? It no longer holds me tied to a manicurist. It no longer holds me tied to my fingers bleeding and my cuticles a mess and me being ashamed of my fingers, right? And it also broke some of the power of my anxiety.
Mm,
But by contrast, because part of the anxiety is what's going to happen to little Kim if dad's not home.
right. Very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I've got to hand it to you for the bravery that you showed to go through that. Not everybody is like that. Even if they realize I just have to go through this for a short period of time to get a maximum benefit,
mhm.
they're too afraid. They're too afraid. Um, Sometimes some people will come to you with some presenting issues that are not presenting issues. They are symptoms,
Yes,
you know, they're symptoms.
I would say my fingernails are a symptom, right? They were a symptom of a much bigger issue. And I knew,
Sure.
even when I was little, I knew subconsciously, even consciously, it had come up out of the subconscious into the conscious that somehow, pardon me, it was tied to the divorce. I didn't know how, I just knew that it somehow was. And it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, when you are meeting with a client and you're doing your work, what's that like as the practitioner in the chair?
What's it like for me?
Mm-hmm.
It's very humbling. It is very humbling because intuition plays a big part in this as well.
That's the magic part.
Um, yeah, that's true. For example, I had a client who came to me with a gambling problem. And there was just something when this person mentioned their issue was a gambling problem. There was just something in my gut that told me this is not the presenting issue.
Oh.
And it was about a couple of minutes into the conversation. I had just this person started talking about something else, kind of off the gambling route. And before I knew it, they were crying.
Mhm.
And I said, "What are those tears about? Tell me what those tears are about." And they said their father had died 7 years ago, and they had never been given the opportunity to grieve. They
Mm.
were used to being the strong one for the family. And no one said it's okay for you to let go and have your time to grieve. So the sessions didn't have anything to do whatsoever with gambling. The gambling was was their way of getting rid of emotions or thought processes they didn't want to deal with. They didn't feel they had a right to deal with. They had to remain strong for everybody else. So they gambled, and the bells and the whistles and the dings and the whatever was a distraction.
Right.
So once we were able to tackle the fact that this person had every right on the planet to grieve and grieve in their own time and in their own way, the casino was not the casino or gambling was just not an issue anymore.
Right.
So it's extremely humbling uh, to see somebody that comes to you with IBS, for example, some so severe they're afraid to leave the house unless they're cognizant of the fact that there is a bathroom, you know, 15 minutes into a half hour run. There has to be a bathroom that they can stop at. If not, they won't go.
Right.
And to see them transformed and being able to step out and live life on their own terms, not dependent on where the next bathroom is located, is truly humbling experience.
Really beautiful. Yeah, that's a really, yeah. And to be able to find the relief that medical professionals who've been fighting it through their their paradigms and their parameters and linking it to the soul work that needs to happen.
True. I'd say a clinical hypnotherapist. So I do get people who come to me who've seen therapists for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to make sure that there are no indicators to what I plan on doing with hypnotherapy sessions. They may be going through CBT, or which I do, but if their therapist is already active in that process, I need to make sure there are no contraindications. So I've got to have the therapist sign off on
Right.
it, because I don't take a person's journey lightly. And I definitely don't want to run them astray, from all the work that they've been doing for 5 years. But the bottom line to it is, I don't want to see anybody for 5 years. My job is to help you get as good as you can get from the get-go. It's not a matter of keeping a client for 5 years. Oh my gosh. It's just, I couldn't be a therapist, because that's kind of like the mainstay is you keep that client as long as you can. If they start getting a little better, a little better, a little better. But they always seem to tap into something else that keeps that one issue from being completely eradicated if they get diverted to something else. And I think the therapists do a phenomenal job. There are some therapists that are not so good at what they do, just like there are some hypnotherapists that are not good at what they do.
Right.
They promise a golden ring, and they know that this is something that isn't healed by one session.
Right.
It's not. So
No,
I think
I mean,
it's just remaining ethical through whatever you do. Remain ethical.
yes. Yes, I am a firm believer in those ethics.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and I'll even say, like, I've gone back because there's been other issues. Like the nail biting issue was a surface issue. It was a relatively easy one. It was like a grapefruit spoon in the grapefruit, right? Like there it is, it's done, right? Boom. And I have like 9 million grapefruit behind me. They're much, maybe not. Maybe I've got the whole lake behind me, right? The grapefruit floating on top of the lake. That was easy. That was the nail biting.
Right.
Right. I mean, there might have been some lake moments in there, but like, no, mixing my metaphors. But I mean, there's other stuff that as we're talking, I'm like, oh, I think I'm blocked. I think I need to call Julie. I'm like, yeah, I realize that it's not necessarily a one and done. And there might be somebody who comes to see you who then 6 months later or a year later says, you know what, now that I've cleared the lake of this, I realize the back 40 needs some attention. Right.
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 That's
I
true.
need to go deal with the back 40 now that I've dealt with the lake.
Yes. Great analogy. That does happen that way. It does.
Because the freedom you get from clearing out the bottom of the lake brings so much, it just opens everything up and makes everything feel so good.
That's
That,
true.
yeah, that when you realize, oh wait, there's still a section of air that's not clear in my life, I need to go clear that air. It just means I need to make more appointments with you.
Well, you need to give Julie a call.
Well, that's just because I met her first. That's only because she walked up to me and patted my face and said, "You're gonna work with me."
Oh, yes. That's so sweet. That is so
Yeah.
sweet. But you really get an opportunity in doing this work to meet some phenomenal people. They may come to you a bit broken, but I mean, and I'm sure you're the same way. You pick up on a person's energy just by seeing them. I don't even have to see somebody in person. I do all of my sessions over Zoom. And a lot of it has to do with the energy that you're picking up. I pick up not just from the first consultation visit we have, which I do those for free, but it's so that I can pick up their energy to see what space are they in right now.
Right.
Are they really ready to let go? Are they holding on to something that is really something different?
Right.
It gives me a chance to kind of get a read on the situation.
Figure out who they are and what's going on.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that way, when they do start hypnotherapy, we get right to the crux of the matter right away.
Right. There's no lollygagging. I feel like, okay, I'm in therapy. Like I have everybody. Like I have everybody on speed dial. I have a therapist. I have a psychic. I have a hypnotherapist. Yeah. And I feel like with my regular therapist, there's times where we just lollygag, right? We're just like, we're just, I don't know. I don't think we're kicking the can down the road, but there's definitely times where I don't know if we even know what the can is that we're supposed to be kicking that day.
I know exactly what you mean.
I don't know if we have a topic. I don't know if there's anything we really need to discuss, but I need her in my back pocket for when things explode, right? Like I just need her, but I don't know if a week is going to be one of those weeks where I need to just bawl my eyes out in her office, right? Like I don't know if that's going to be this week or last week or the next time I see her, right? Like, and so sometimes I go in and I have nothing going on and everything is fine. And I'm like, well, there's some money down the pocket. But at the same point, like when I need the appointment with her, I need the appointment with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine there are people who work with you who feel that same way. When they need an appointment with you, they need the appointment with you.
Well, that's true. It's true. But if somebody is in a space where they feel they have to contact me and they just kind of, because they're breaking down in tears, I need to find out why you're crying. Right? Because if I don't find out why you're crying, then we are not identifying the can.
Exactly.
So I have to know what that can is. Sometimes the person doesn't really know what it is, but asking the right questions helps reveal it. It inevitably, asking the right questions will reveal what that can looks like.
Right.
I don't want you crying and feel like you're crying no, wait, I gotta call Deborah. Man, I'm just falling apart. I don't want you falling apart. You are a strong woman, you're a dynamic woman, and there is a reason on this planet why, past or present, why you need to be losing it.
Hey, it's part of the human experience.
Well, I say that, for every tear that's shed, it's gotta, there needs to be a reason for that tear. You don't just cry off,
Oh, no. Yeah.
Just cry. There's a reason.
There's a reason.
So, and that reason needs to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can cry about something else.
This might give you. Go ahead.
I'll give you carte blanche. You pick whatever else you want after that. But we're taking care of why you're crying today.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask a question, and if you don't want to answer it, you can say I'm not answering that. You can be like, how did you personally get through the 3 significant losses? Because did you have a hypnotherapist in your life at the time? Did you have a therapist in your life? Did you just sort of like plow through? Like, what did you do to manage those moments?
I didn't have a hypnotherapist. Back then I didn't even know what hypnotherapy was. And I didn't have a therapist. I came from a very strong faith in God, but when this happened, I thought, where the hell did you go? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So I was never more lost than then, because if there was no God, I had no therapist. My father was dead, who was my best friend. My mother had been gone for 30 years. And I mean, I'd never felt so alone in all my life, you know. All I can say is I got through it one day at a time. I did go through some serious bouts of depression. You know, my granddaughter was like losing part of me. That was the catalyst. And I guess it was because when I found her, my daughter found her in her crib, and she called me incoherent. I couldn't even make out what she was saying, but I heard her say my granddaughter's name, and I took off for the house. They lived about 5 miles away. And when I got there, the baby was laying on a pillow in the living room, on the living room rug, and she was lifeless. And I went and I scooped her up and I started doing CPR. And probably one of the cruelest things life throws at you is when you're breathing in a baby's mouth and you watch their little chest rise up,
and then fall.
and then go down. And it brings that flutter of hope when their chest rise up, but then when you stop breathing, it doesn't keep going.
Right.
It doesn't. So that was traumatic for me. 6 months. I would get in my car to go somewhere, and halfway there, forget where I was going. I was lost, completely lost. And all I can think of are prayers from my sister, my oldest daughter, just helped me at least start putting one foot in front of the other. It was really hard. There was no magic bullet. There was no magic anything. There is nothing a therapist could have told me to make that better, unless they had some secret method to bring these people back to life.
Exactly.
I didn't want to hear anything anybody had to say.
Exactly.
Because that's the only thing that would make me feel better.
Right.
I want them back. I want them back. All right.
Going back. Exactly. I'm
So that's how
100%
it
with
went.
you.
So it was hard.
Yeah, because there wasn't somebody there just to hold the space with you.
No. In fact, if anything, it was like, it's not just a matter of holding space. My oldest daughter, I have to give her this because my middle daughter died a year after those two died. And she was trying to be strong for me. But after I lost my middle daughter, it was like, I just told my oldest daughter, I said, don't get any bright ideas about getting sick or anything. Okay. I cannot lose all of my children while I'm still walking this planet.
Right.
It was, it's not supposed to work like that.
No,
Don't get
that's
any
what my dad
wild.
used to tell me all the time. He's like, the natural order of things is for me to go and then you to go. He would tell me that all the time. So like when he left, I was like, this is the natural order. He told me this is how it was going to happen.
Yeah. I keep telling people I evidently was an axe murderer in a former life to be dealt this hand, because nobody should have to deal with that. Nobody. But I'm a firm believer in karma. I just don't know what I did in a former life to be handed this mess down. I don't.
But
I
stops
will
with
tell
you.
you that.
It stops with you.
Yeah. As a hypnotherapist, there is nothing I understand better than someone that comes to me grieving. So I guess with the number of people that I've helped walk that road.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it was worth it. Nothing is worth that. Nothing. But I appreciated the opportunity to help someone else walk through a very difficult time. And that's about it,
As if that's light and easy, right? As if what you do daily is like, oh, pish posh, let's just go for a walk in the light rain.
I would go walk in the rain. I would go walk in the rain. Um, time does a number. You know, time does a number. It's had me reevaluate a lot of things. When I go to a funeral of someone and I meet the family, I don't say, I'm sorry for your loss. That is dumb. Or they'll say they're in a better place. Somebody told me that during my daughter's funeral, and I wanted to cold cock them right across the jaw.
Oh,
They meant well.
I love, so I used to work in a NICU as the NICU social worker.
Oh,
And I was also like the mother baby social worker. So there, you see some stuff as the mother baby social worker.
oh,
And people would like tell like people who have had a fetal demise, well, God just wanted their angel in heaven. And I'm like, I don't understand how that is helpful at all.
no,
Because I don't want that angel in heaven. That angel was mine, and heaven doesn't get it.
exactly.
Or you don't know what the plan is, or there's a better there's like when he closes a window door, he opens a window, like all the cliches.
Right. I know.
So what do you say when you go to a funeral?
I normally will go up to the person and say, I wish I could carry some of the pain you're feeling right now, just to give you some breathing room.
Right.
That's what I tell them because it's truth.
Right. And that's beautiful.
It's other than I'm sorry for your loss. Well, then, well, thank you. There's a whole nicey thing that you got to play. So I just don't do it anymore.
No. No, and I've had my own journeys about things, right? Like I'm too authentic. I'm done. I don't want to play a game anymore. Like, I'm going to tell you what I
No.
really think. If you want to know what I think, ask me and I will tell you. Or just stand around for a couple minutes because it'll come out.
There you go.
I don't have time to play games.
Oh no. And
When
the older I get, the more so that is a fact.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't I know how quick this life is. It's super fast. And I don't have time to dilly or dally or lollygag.
I agree. I do agree. Life is short. It is. Oh, so, we just keep trudging forward as soldiers. You just keep one foot in front of the other through the muck and the mire and the blood and the guts and whatever else it takes. All right.
The
I'm going to
pond
put one
bottoms,
foot in front
all
of
the
the
pond
other.
bottoms. I hate pond bottoms. So gross.
I know. I know.
But my mom tells a story about my birth. She says that right before I was born, well, all the whole time she was carrying me, from the time they could tell, right? I was all lined up to come out the chute. All lined up. And then she starts contractions and she starts labor and water break, the whole story, right? They're ready to go. Everybody's lined up. She's in the stirrups, everything's all set. The doctor comes in and goes, we're gonna have to C-section you. And my mom was like, what do you mean? And he's like, she just flipped around. Right before I came out, I was like, I know how bad this is going to be. And I know that this is going to suck. I don't want to do it.
I don't want to. I don't want to anymore. Just pull it.
So I flipped around to come out feet first.
Oh.
And my mom was like, nope, you're going to turn her back around. So the doctor did that thing that they do, and they pushed me back around and I was set to go and I came out the chute. But I think it's sort of a metaphor for my entire life, because whenever I was like supposed to go on a roller coaster, I go, I'm not getting on, I'm getting on, I'm not getting on, I'm getting on, I'm not getting on, I'm getting on. And I'd be like, I'm not going to do it. I'm too scared. I don't want to do it. I will get on. I won't get on. I won't. And I would like be in like these anxiety throes before I actually got on the roller coaster. And one of the things I did during cancer, actually, is while I was in Hodgkin's lymphoma, I would stare at the door that was the door to chemo. at the hospital, and I would stare at that door, and I would feel about that door the same way I felt about the roller coaster. That same pit in your stomach, dread, overwhelmed, miserable, right? Unhappy. And I decided I was never going to ride a roller coaster again. Because there's no reason to put myself through that.
True.
You don't have to.
No.
And I actually felt a lot of freedom. I have since been on a roller coaster, right? I've had friends who have them for me, and they're like, no, this one's fine. You'll be fine on this one. This one won't take you out. And I trust them. I'm like, okay, if you think it's okay, they're like, you're going to be totally fine on this one. I'm like, okay, then I'll do it. And they've even with them, I've been a little brave and gone on things that completely overwhelmed me and was like, that was too much. They were like, that was too much. But the two of us together decided that was too much. And then I felt camaraderie in my overwhelm. Whereas before my father was just like, get on, you'll like it. And I was like, no, I actually really didn't like it. Thanks.
Nope. No. I have never ridden a roller coaster. I look at those things and go, no. And that's all. And that's it. No. I will not put myself through that. I don't care what my kid, my especially my middle daughter, she wrote everything. It could drop 500 feet from the air to dead. She wrote it. And I said, you call me chicken? You could buy me a chicken suit. I'll wear it. I don't care. I'm not kidding. I'm not. I love you, darling, but no.
No. Have fun on it yourself. I'm not doing it.
Nope. But I was always like that. I had made up my own mind, and no one could talk me into anything I didn't want to do. Thankfully, I was not a raucous kid,
Right.
I was, but anyway, just it's funny. It's funny the journey, the path that we walk through in this lifetime. Oh my gosh.
Some of the times we make the path ourselves and we keep redo it, right? And then there are other times that it's a path that sort of gets handed to us.
I know.
Right? Your path was handed to you. You did not ask for your path. You did not create your path. You did not do anything to make your path. It was handed to you.
I have a good friend of mine who is a Carmelite monk.
Oh.
And he does astrology. He does it from the old, that's pre-Vatican II Catholicism. He actually got the astrological charts from the monks from way back. And
right.
I would always tell him, Jerry, if you see me again, and then getting ready, prepping for another lifetime, I think I'm on I may have one more left, I think. I said, if you see me up there and I'm choosing something like I had here, just slap me. All right. Pull me out of line, slap me, do. I'm telling you now, I'm done. I'm cooked. It's up to here.
I've said that if I have to do another lifetime, if the woman formerly known as my stepmother, if she comes up to me and asks me to do another lifetime with her, hell to the no. Hell to the no. And I keep telling my soul, don't say yes to her. Do not say yes to her. Do not do another lifetime with that woman. Don't say yes. Don't say yes.
No.
Because I know me well enough that when I get up there and we're all perfect souls and we're all looking at who we are in essence, the essence of me looking at the essence of her, I'll be like, sure, I'll help you out. No.
Yeah, we're sending a pre-messages. These are all beforehand. Let it be said. No.
No.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, goodness only knows.
I know. Why this path? Why this journey? Why this lifetime? Who knows? I never go through anything in my life and where I don't stop and say, okay, what was I supposed to learn off of this?
Oh, I do that too.
I don't want to repeat it. I don't need
Exactly.
a repeat performance. Okay. So if you repeat it because you haven't learned something, I don't want to repeat it. So what the hell am I supposed to learn out of this? You know, I'll give me specifics.
Yeah. I said the same thing about Hodgkin's. I was like, I never want to do that again. Never want to go through the chemo. Never want to go through like the life altering. Never want to go through the pain. Never want to go through the being shoved in the closet, in the walk-in closet into the back, and then you have to crawl your way out every week. Like I don't want to do that again. Don't want to do that again. What am I supposed to learn so I can just get it over with? And I will tell
Yes.
you, even while I was asking, what am I supposed to learn? I don't know that I have even now unpacked everything I was supposed to learn.
Wow. That's a heavy road, though. That is a heavy road.
No heavier than yours.
I would have taken that. I would have traded. I would have taken it.
Well, that's because
And
it happened to my frame.
yeah,
Right? It
yeah,
happened to
yeah.
my frame. It didn't happen outside of my frame.
Mhm.
Right? My mom was like, let me do that for you. My mom was like, I will take her sickness. I was like, I don't want you to have this. This is terrible. I wouldn't want to have to watch you go through it.
Your mom had to suffer quite a bit watching you go through it.
Yeah, she told me a story one night. We were in her house. Well, I lived in her house for most of treatment. I was in her house. And so she watches every Phillies game she watches. She watches every game, like every one of them. So there was one night we were watching the game and I was on the couch and she was in her chair. So that's where we always were. Where was Kim? She was on the couch. Where was my mom? She was in her chair. When she wasn't working, she was in her chair, which was right across on the couch. She could see me and watch the game at the same time, right? She got eye view of both of them. And I was lying on the couch and she actually started to wonder if I was alive or not.
Wow.
She was like, I can't tell if she's alive. And Chase Utley was playing for the Phillies at that time, and he had a music that came on that was I believe it was Led Zeppelin. And it was like a right. So that comes on and I'm like lying on the couch, my eyes are closed. She can't tell if I'm alive or dead. Like I was like a size 2 and bald, right? Like
Wow. Yeah.
and she's looking at me and I mumble, oh, Chase is up. And she's like, oh good, she's still alive.
Oh my gosh. How horrible. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
there's like, but I will say, if I hadn't gone through that, just as you know, right, you would not be doing the work you're doing right now. You would not
True.
be helping the people you are helping. You would not have taken all of the risks that you needed to take in order to be sitting in the chair, literally the chair you're currently sitting in. You would not have done everything you needed to do had you not walked that road.
That's true. Very true.
And you would not have become the woman you have become because of that road.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's hilarious.
Oh, life goes on. Life goes on. Mm.
Yes, and I want to say there were days that you really wished it didn't.
Oh, you've got that right. You have got that right. More days than I can count on both hands.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah, how do people find you?
Usually pretty happy-go-lucky and easy to get along with.
Not what I meant. You know it. Make you my best friend. Can I make you my best friend?
Absolutely.
Oh no, I think you froze. Deborah,
They can find me. They can go to my website at mindpaththerapies.com and just click contact and it'll come right to me.
Okay, you froze there for a second, so let me repeat that. They can find you at Mind
I think
Path
you
Therapy.
froze.
Yeah, I know. You're frozen too.
Frozen.
There
Now
we go.
you're there.
There you are. My internet wasn't mine or yours. You cut out first. Are you still there? You're still there. Okay.
I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay. So it was mindpaththerapies.com.
Right. And they just click contact and it'll email me right fast and in a hurry.
Okay. Sounds great. Where are you located in the world?
Louisiana.
You're in Louisiana.
South Louisiana. Yeah. A born and bred Cajun.
I kind of get the sense that where you live, you're the swan among the ducks.
Oh, I don't know.
Or the duck among the swans.
There you go. There you go. I am a duck amongst the swans. That fits. When everybody else is just kind of fluffing their feathers and scooting around the pond, I'm quacking. Something screwed up. I'm quacking, trying to get somebody to pay attention. That's me.
That's hilarious. Okay. Well, you be in touch with me and I will be in touch with you.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, mindpaththerapies.com. I want the whole world to find you. Okay.
You're such a sweetheart. Thank you so much for having me on your program. I appreciate it.
Thank you
And
for
I think
letting me
what
have you.
what you do is important. Don't stop.
Thanks.
Don't stop.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to actually, ironically, I'm going to hit stop on the recording.